वीडियो को जल्दी से लाइक कर दीजिए एंड शेयर कर दीजिए अमंग योर फ्रेंड्स एंड कलीग्स, ताकि जो भी आपके फ्रेंड्स एंड कलीग्स प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं फॉर द अपकमिंग सीआईबी एग्जाम्स, वो हमारी वीडियोस को गो थ्रू कर पाए, डेफिनेटली अपना जो सीआईबी का एग्जाम है उसे पहली बार में क्लियर कर पाए. So the audio video quality over here seems to be working fine. And further, if you want to get the CIB syllabus priority, you need to simply message CIB syllabus priority. I'm just mentioning it over the chat box over there. So CIB syllabus priority and WhatsApp it to the number 83609 44207. ठीक है, जहां पर आपको ये डिटेल्स मिल जाएंगी एंड फर्दर हम आपको CIB की जो सिलेबस प्रायोरिटी की डिटेल्स हैं वो आपको यहाँ पर व्हाट्सएप कर देंगे. सो यू कैन डू द सेम एंड फर्दर लेट अस नो अबाउट इट. एंड फर्दर हमारा जो फुल कोर्स है दैट इज अवेलेबल फॉर द CIB ओवर देयर, जिसको आप एनरोल कर सकते हैं विजिटिंग द आप यहाँ पर गूगल प्ले स्टोर से एंड्रॉयड एप्लीकेशन डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं IIB लर्निंग सेंटर, या फिर आप अगर iOS यूजर हैं तो आपको एप्लीकेशन डाउनलोड करनी है माई इंस्टीट्यूट एंड वहाँ पर जाकर के आपको एनरोल करना है. आपको वहाँ पर जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कोड है वो यूज करना है GEGKT, जिसके थ्रू आप हमारे कोर्सेज में एनरोल कर सकते हैं एंड वहां पर अपनी जो प्रिपरेशंस हैं उनको बिगिन कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, तो फटाफट से विजिट कर लीजिए हमारी वेबसाइट को एंड फर्दर एनरोल कर लीजिए एंड फर्दर स्टार्ट प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द सेम. मैं अभी की अभी आपके साथ लिंक एक शेयर करने जा रहा हूं कोर्स के रिलेटेड, जिसके थ्रू आप डायरेक्टली भी एनरोल कर सकते हैं एंड देयर इज अ ह्यूज वेवर राइट नाउ अवेलेबल जिसमें आपको फ्लैट 30% ऑफ मिल जाएगा. तो आपको इस लिंक के थ्रू अगर आप एनरोल करते हैं तो आपको फ्लैट 30% ऑफ मिल जाता है. ठीक है, तो ये हमारा कोर्स का डिटेल है, स्टोर का डिटेल है, वहां पर जाकर के आप इसमें एनरोल कर सकते हैं. आप शेयर द सेम एंड इसको मैं पिन भी कर देता हूं ताकि आपको आसानी रहे एनरोल करने के लिए. ABM दैट इज रिलेटेड टू द फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ द HRM. नाउ व्हाट एक्चुअली द HRM इज, इट इज द ह्यूमन रिसोर्स एंड मैनेजमेंट. So if you look at the history, so previously the employees were said to be the liability where you have to pay the amounts to the employees over there, but now this is not the case. Those are considered as asset now. Those are considered what? Those are considered as assets. And what the human resource management is all about, it is about managing the resources, managing those assets which are related to the personnel, that how they are developing in the institute, how they are being utilized in the institute itself. That okay, so organizations are what? Organizations are nothing but these are resources of men, machinery, material, money. Now these all things are now collected and further these are coordinated and they will be utilized in some particular manner so as to have an output from that particular manner. Is that clear? Now if we look at these resources individually, these are not effective enough, these are not useful and they cannot fulfill any of the objective of the organization. But if these are united in a way into a team itself, definitely they can earn the organizations a lot. Okay, so it is through the combined efforts of the people that the material, monetary resources, these are utilized effectively so as to achieve the organizational objectives. Okay, now if we look at some organization, if we consider some organization is basically what? Organization is having some common goals. Let us take the case that if you want to achieve a turnover of 1000 crores or something like that, so now there is some common goal that is to be achieved, and for that particular purpose we'll be doing what? We will be uniting the organization, uniting all the resources of the organization, whether those are materialistic, whether those are related to the personnel itself, and further there will be a division of labor. There will be a division of labor, there will be some authority, there will be some hierarchy, and there will be the responsibility assigned at the different levels. Okay, so now that basically forms what? That basically forms the organization itself. Okay, so it is basically achievement of the common goals by way of division of the labor through a hierarchy of the authority and the responsibility. Okay, and that particular definition was given by the Edgar Schein itself. Okay, now let's move further and let us have a look at the authors and their work. First of all, it is related to the Peter Drucker. In the book of the landmarks of tomorrow, no matter how we can quantify, the basic phenomena are qualitative. So whatsoever you produce in whatever so quantity do you produce, it never matters, but actually that matters. It is related to the quality. It is related to the quality, whether it is related to the innovation, risk, judgment, dedication, each and everything related to that. That particular definition was given by Peter Drucker itself. Then it is related to the Robert Owen. Now why these definitions and why these author names are important? Because these are being asked in the exam itself, so you have to take an idea related to that. And further related to the Robert Owen, now just look at the surname over here, that is Owen. Owen is what? Owen is a machine that you use in the home itself. Okay, so you can just take a note from it itself. I know it's something not related to the pattern, but this is how you can just relate it with something, and further you can memorize related to it. So Robert Owen said over there that best investment of an organization is what? It is in the worker itself. I already told you that worker is what? Worker is an asset. So he says that the best investment of the organization is the worker, and these are the vital machines. These are what? These are the vital machines. Then it is related to the Charles Babbage. So Charles Babbage basically invented what? He invented the computer. He invented the computer. So we can say, we can just memorize from that particular point that computer is related to what? It is related to the scientific principles. So related to the scientific principle definition, it was given by whom? It was given by the Charles Babbage itself. Okay, so he believed that the scientific principles to work process can be applied. Scientific principles can be applied to the work principles. He believed in that. He never just applied that particular term. He just coined that particular term, that these scientific principles can be applied to the work processes so as to increase the productivity, and to reduce the expenses over there. Now further, the Frederick Taylor utilized this particular coinage that was given by the Charles Babbage, and further he said his concept related to division of labor. So he basically applied the scientific principles. And he is famous for his concept of division of labor and time and the mother studies related to it. So what he just said that the work can be basically broken down into the smaller units, because further the Grant and Gilberts substantiated the Frederick Taylor's concept. And what was it related to? There was some we can say ignorance to the vital aspects that was related to the behavior factor was not taken, because Frederick Taylor just basically focused upon the factor that the work can be broken down into the simpler units, and people can understand those smaller bits, because they do not understand what is a full work performer over there. That is just like that employees will be given a bit of the work over there. They'll be solving these particular bits over there, and further their services will be utilized. Okay, and further people do given the activity in return for money. So people will do the given activity, whatsoever the work is just given to them, they will be performing that activity because they will be getting the money. And further people will have to do what is defined by the organization and in turn by the technology. So they will be doing that particular work in the manner the organization wants them to do, and further in turn that will be done by the technology itself. So those were the major assumptions by the Frederick Taylor approach. And further, but the loophole was related to that the Frederick Taylor definition, that the Frederick Taylor concept never basically had concerned about the human behavior. Okay, so it concentrated on the activities. It concentrated on what? It concentrated on the activities and related to the work only, but basically it never had taken the behavior aspect into the account. It never had taken the behavior aspect into the account itself. Okay, so that was related to Grant and Gilbert. So first let me just remind you that the Peter Drucker talked about what? It basically talked about whatsoever you do quantitatively, what matters actually, it is a qualitative thing only. Robert Owen said that the worker is a vital machine. Charles Babbage basically believed that the scientific principles can be applied to the work processes so as to increase the productivity and to decrease the expenses. Further, Frederick Taylor just basically applied that particular coinage by the Charles Babbage, and further his concept for division of work and labor and time was quite famous over there. And for the Grant and Gilberts, further they did what? They substantiated the concept of the Frederick Taylor. Okay, that's what we have studied so far. Then it is related to Alton Mayo and others at Westlake Electric Company. They said that the human studies is basically a landmark. It basically what? It is a landmark in the evolution of the management. Because previously also the management was being done, but it was not the way the processes were thought about. Okay, it was not the way the workers were given the priority about. Okay, so it's basically a landmark in the evolution of the management and further the human approach in the management itself. Further, the researchers like Chris Agres, A. Maslow, Douglas McGregor, Frederick Haserberg, they highlighted the dimensions of motivation. This is just an overview related to the different units that we'll be covering in the upcoming units itself. So I'm just giving an idea related to it. Now further, can you please do answer the following? And you do answer the following. So who used to call his workers the vital machines? Who used to call his workers the vital machines? I already told you, you can memorize it from the surname Owen over there. You can memorize it from the surname Owen over there. So that is a Robert Owen. That is a Robert Owen used to call his workers the vital machine. Second, it says the landmarks of tomorrow. A book on human resources management has been authored by Peter Drucker. It has been authored by Peter Drucker. And in years 1856 to 1915, who conceptualized and pioneered the scientific management approach. Scientific management approach that was related to whom? In year 1856 to 1915. Who conceptualized and pioneered scientific management approach. That was Frederick Taylor. That was Frederick Taylor, because Charles Babbage just basically believed that the scientific phenomena can be, scientific principles can be applied to the work processes. Okay, but conceptualization was done by the Frederick Taylor itself. Okay, then it is said an organization is a rational combination of the activities of a number of people of the achievement for the achievement of some common explicit purpose or goal through a division of labor and function through a hierarchy of authority and responsibility. This definition was given by Edgar Schein, as I just told you. Okay, that was basically related to the short points. Then it is related to the meaning and definition of HRM. It is related to the meaning and definition of HRM. HRM is what? HRM is human resource management. So there are defined a set of policies, rules, practices, programs which are designed to achieve both the personal and the organizational goals. Okay, now let me tell you that here is an organization and the organization is having some goals which are to be achieved, okay, and there are numerous employees, workers who have been working in these organizations. As a person, as an individual, they also have the goals. And further, they must be coherent in a way so as to achieve the organizational goals. They must be coherent in a way so as to achieve the organizational goals. Okay, so what would be the process related to it? The best process that would be related to it, it would be related to that their personal goals are also achieved while achieving the organizational goals. Okay, so that would be the best way. Okay, so that is all the human resource management is about. So human resource management is independent department. It is what? It is an independent department and there are various sections among it. It is related to the recruitment and retention. Second, it is related to performance and appraisal management. Third, it is related to the human resource development. Let me tell you that HRD is a subcategory of HRM itself. HRD is a subcategory of HRM itself. In HRD, we are concerned about what? We are concerned about development of the employees, development of the workers itself, while it is related to imparting training to them or further development. That is basically the concept related to the HRD itself. That is also a subcategory of HRM itself. Then it is related to compensation. So these are the various sections of the HRM itself, and further it is an independent department. So human resource management refers to what? It refers to the art of managing all the aspects of the human workforce. So whatsoever the aspects related to the workforce, those are to be managed by the HRM itself. Those are to be managed at HRM itself. It aims at providing optimal working environments. So what actually we want? We want to provide an environment to our employees in which they can nurture, they can give their 100%. They can give their 100% that their skills can be fully utilized. Skills can be fully utilized and freely utilized so as to achieve the common goals. So these are the common goals, and further they must be provided with an environment so that they can basically use their skills to the full, and further they are freely over there, they can utilize their skills over there so as to achieve the common goals. That is the main aim of the HRM itself. Now, human resource development is what it is. As I already told you, it is subcategory of HRM itself. So there are 4 sections we learned about. It is about the recruitment and the retention, performance and appraisal, HRD and compensation. Now, HRD is what? HRD is subcategory of HRM itself, and it basically focuses on what? It focuses on how we can nurture the employee skills, how we can do nurture the employee skills. It could be related to that we want to develop what? We want to develop a superior workforce, how we can impart skills to them. Okay, that is related to skills can be imparted through the training itself, through the proper counseling itself, so that the company and the individual employees may achieve their work goals. As an employee in a company itself, we must be having some our personal goals, that I want to earn high, I'm ambitious about itself, I want to learn the innovation itself. So those all goals can also be achieved. Okay, now let us have a look at the roles of HR professionals. Let us have a look at the roles of HR professionals. Now, if we just look at the past over there, in past, HR position was not a specialized job. It was not a specialized job, but now the role of HR professional is, it is a specialized job, and further, only and only those individuals who are having specific qualifications and skills, they can fit best for the HR professional. Okay, so traditional functions of the HR, if we look at those, basically now have become the legal obligations. Previously those were basically not the requirement, but now those are the legal obligations that an employer has to fulfill. That was related to ensuring the attendance, ensuring the output, quality, good work conditions, safety and hygiene. Now these are the legal obligations on the companies itself. Okay, and further, it is related to these offices also deal with misconduct and disciplinary inquiries. Okay, so not only related to the compensation that is to be provided, not only related to managing the workforce, not only related to their development, not only related to their compensation and all the things, and further related to if there is any misconduct or any disciplinary inquiry, that will also be dealt by the HR professional itself, HRM itself. And further, focus on the activities like recruiting, training, promoting, compensating, made the personal function more important. That is why HRM is very, very important. Now, Parikh and Rao, they have grouped the multiple functions under the 5 groups. Okay, so Parikh and Rao have given us the 5 combinations, which is basically where we'll be defining the functions related to the HRM. Let us have a look at it. Now, these are having the 5 roles. First role, it is a supportive role. First role, it is related to what? It is related to the supportive role. Now, that relates to strengthening of the operating and executive levels and consolidating the strengths in the organization. Supportive means what? That we want to provide a support to the organization itself. Whether it is related to whatsoever the different executing levels are there, we will basically having a proper personal management in that particular case, so that that particular operation can be managed over there, and so as to strengthen the organization itself. That is a supportive role. And further, it is related to role of system development and research. A role of the system development and research. Now, there must be development related to that. That will be dealing with what? That will be dealing with the problems of the employees. And further, definitely there are dynamics in the organization. Each and everything is not static now. That is changing day by day. So if there is some need related to that, how that will be managing those changes, that would be function of the HRM itself. Then it is related to the managerial role. The third one, it is related to what? It is related to the managerial role. So that relates to performing managerial functions, whether it is related to planning the future manpower, whether it is related to recruitment, whether it is related to utilizing the placements, retaining them, and further motivating and integrating people. Integrating people means what? It is like that you have basically employed one person, and that person is basically being just focusing not only one work, and is focusing on multiple works, and also he is basically integrated with the multiple tiers at multiple levels. That is basically integrating people. And further, their role, their performance, potential management, each and everything is to be basically managed, and that comes under what? That comes under the managerial role itself. Then the fourth one, it is related to role of developing competence. Role of developing competence. This refers to developing technical, serial and processing computer science among the human resource. So HRM is also having a role so as to develop a technical, managerial and processing competencies among the human workforce. Okay, and further the last role that is related to the process role, it says creating necessary culture and values in the organization. Okay, so whatsoever the values are required so as we can do achieve the common goals of the organization, and whatsoever the culture, whatsoever the environment is required to be maintained in the organization, that is basically related to what, that is related to the HRM itself. So and further it is related to diagnosing the problems at the organizational levels, and the corrective actions must also be taken. Okay, so that is related to the process role. So these are the 5 roles. One it is a supportive role, second one it is a role of system development and research, third one it is a managerial role, fourth one it is the role of developing competence, fifth one it is the process role. Now let's move further. It says attributes of the HR professional. Now these attributes are further divided into 3 parts. What these 3 categories are: first of all, it is related to the technical attributes, second one it is related to the managerial attributes, and the third one it is related to the personality. So first of all, we will be learning about the technical attributes. So these are basically related to the knowledge one HR must be processing. That is related to the knowledge of performance appraisal, that how we can do the appraisal related to the performances and the functioning, related to the potential appraisal and mechanism, that how one system is working, and further how we can do appraise. Then further related to knowledge of various tests and measurement of behavior, that how we can do basically test the behavior, we can do measure the behavior levels, that is related to that. Fourth one, it is related to ability to design and coordinate training programs. So even if the training program is to be coordinated, to be designed for a worker, whether it is to be designed for a supervisory level, that ability must be there. Then it is related to professional knowledge of personnel and management, related to the workforce, related to the management, professional knowledge must be there. Related to the behavior sciences, the knowledge must be there. Related to understanding the overall organizational culture, related to career planning processes, practices, it must be the knowledge that they must be processing. Further related to knowledge and skills in counseling. Okay, so these are the various dimensions related to the technical attributes that the one HR must be processing. So we covered whether it is related to the appraisal system, whether it is related to the mechanism, whether it is related to the behavior sciences, whether it is related to measurement of behavior, whether it is related to coordinate or design the training programs, whether it is related to personnel and management, whether it is related to organization culture overall, whether it is related to career planning, counseling. All these attributes, technical attributes, must be there in the HR itself. Then it is related to the managerial attributes. Now, what the managerial attributes are actually concerned about? It is concerned about performing some duties. So when we talk about the managerial attributes, it's not about only the knowledge, it's about how we are utilizing that particular part of the knowledge so as to manage the things. Okay, so there must be organizing ability, that how we are organizing it, and further it is related to system development skills, that how we are utilizing the system itself for the development purposes. And the third one, it is related to the personality. Okay, so the HR must be basically, they must be initiative, they must be having the initiative, and further those must be imaginative and must be creative enough, those must be having the positive attitude, those must be having the concern for excellence, and further ability to work as a team member. So that is related to what? That is related to the personality of the HR. So these are the 3 attributes related to the HR itself. Those were categorized as technical attributes, managerial attributes, and the personalities. And further, this categorization has also been done by the Parikh and Rao. Okay. Now we will be solving some of the questions based upon that. So first question over here, it says, which is or are the fundamental activity in people management? Acquiring, training, evaluating, compensating, or all of the above? So which one is or are the fundamental activity in the people management? So whether it is related to acquiring, training, evaluating, or the compensating, all are covered under there. All are under the fundamental activity in the people management itself. So answer will be option 5. That is all of the above. Answer will be option number 5. Now let's move to the next question. It says informal organization setup. Informal organization setup are taken into account. There are a given goal, a given structure, explicit role, relationships in order to coordinate the activities, or all of the above. Now let me tell you, there are 2 types of the organization setup, whether it can be formal organization setup and it can also be informal organization setup. When we are basically talking about the formal organization setup, In that particular case, we are provided with the particular goal itself. We are having some particular goal, so there will be a given goal, and further there will be expressed rules and regulations, there will be expressed roles over there, there will be a given structure. Likewise, there is a ZM, there is one GM, there is chairman, there is manager, there is officer, there is clerical, and so on. So the hierarchy is being maintained, and also there are explicit roles that the role is to be performed by some person. If someone is a credit officer, particular duties are basically explicitly defined, and those must be performed by the person itself. Okay, and further it is related to relationships in order to coordinate the activities, that how the activity will be coordinated. Let us take the case when a loan application was submitted by a customer over there. In that particular case, first of all, it will be processed by the concerned officer, further will be given to the field staff, further it will be recommended, and further then it will be sanctioned by the authority itself. So that is a process, that is a process that is to be followed, and that is a case of what? That is case of the formal organization setup itself. That is a case of the formal organization setup itself. So all five are covered in case of formal organization setup. So option 5 over here will be again the right answer. Next it says, which of the following is part of human resource management? Routine functions, organization development, employee development, all of the above. Which of the following is part of human resource management? So as I already told you that HRM is concerned about what? HRM is concerned about all the work processes related to the routine functions are covered over there. And also I told you that HRD is a subcategory of HRM itself. HRD consists of what? It is consisting of the organization development and the employee development. So all these three will be part of what? All these three will be the part of the human resource management over here. So option D in this particular case, that is option number 4 over here, is the right answer. Option 4 over here will be the right answer. Let's move to the next question. It says the task of development, the task of developing systems that deal with people, their problems, organizational dynamics fall in which of the functions of the HR professional? I already told you that there are 5 roles, 5 functions which are to be performed. One, it was related to what? One, it was related to the supportive role, process role, managerial role, and further the other roles were related to what? Can you please do answer? It was related to the role of developing competence, and last one, it was related to the role of system development and research. So particularly this particular section that is related to task of developing such system that is dealing with people, their problem, organizational dynamics, that is basically focused on by the role of system development and research. Role of system development and research. So option B over here is the right answer. Option B over here is the right answer. Supportive role was related to providing the support to the system itself at the different process levels, and managerial role, whether it was related to recruitment, whether it was related to the development, all those were covered under the managerial role. And for the role of developing competence, so as to develop a competence among the work generations, that was the part of it. Okay, so option second over here is the right answer. Now let's move to the next question. It says HR professional role includes creating necessary culture and values in the organization, diagnosing the problem at organizational level, and taking the corrective steps. This falls under what category? This falls under work, what category? It is under what category? Kindly do answer at the earliest. It is under the process role itself. It is under the process role itself. So option B over here is the right answer. Option B over here is the right answer. Now let's move to the next question. It says, which was the first organization that started the process of human resources and management in India? Which was the first organization that started the process of human resources management in India? So the name of company is Cisco. So many of the changes were afterwards implemented as in the form of the acts and different rules by the other organizations too. Next one, it is related to what is the difference between the HRM and HRD. So as I already told you that HRD is a subcategory of HRM itself. HRD is concerned about what? It is concerned about the development of the organization and the employees itself. Where HRM is the mother body. HRM is the mother body. It is related to all the work routines. It is related to all the work routines. Question 8, it says the systems relating to recruiting, promoting, administering compensation fall under what? So before solving this particular question, let me tell you, when it is related to traditional people management, when it is related to the traditional people management, that is covered under what? That is covered under the people administration. That is actually that component is covered under the people administration. And when we talk about the recruiting, promoting, administering, compensation, that is covered under what? That is simply covered under the administration. That is simply covered under the administration. And further, the traditional labor management, grievance, competence, that is covered under what? That particular component is covered under, that is covered under the maintenance system. What different components we are talking about? Whether it is related to the labor management or it is related to the grievance systems, and further related to the discipline management, all these aspects are covered under the maintenance systems. All these are covered under the maintenance systems. Okay. And for the development functions such as induction, training, development, growth, performance appraisal, counseling, all are covered under the HRD. Those all are covered under the HRD. So as per this particular question, the systems relating to recruiting, promoting, administering, compensation, those will fall under simply the administration part itself. Okay, so that would be all related to this particular video. तो फटाफट से एनरोल कर लीजिए, बिना यहाँ पर वेट किए, बिना वक्त गवाए हमारी वेबसाइट को विजिट कर लीजिए iibf.info, वहां पर जाकर एनरोल कर सकते हैं। या फिर आप अगर एंड्रॉयड यूजर हैं तो आपको यहां पर एंड्रॉयड एप्लीकेशन डाउनलोड करनी है IIBF लर्निंग सेंटर। तो एप्लीकेशन को फटाफट से डाउनलोड कर लीजिए, IIBF लर्निंग सेंटर एप्लीकेशन है, इसे डाउनलोड कर लीजिए एंड फर्दर स्टार्ट प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द सेम। एंड फर्दर अगर आप iOS यूजर हैं तो उसके केस में आपको माई इंस्टीट्यूट एप्लीकेशन को डाउनलोड करना है। इन दैट केस यू नीड टू डाउनलोड द माई इंस्टीट्यूट एप्लीकेशन एंड वहां पर जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कोड है दैट इज यू नीड टू यूज GEGKT एंड फर्दर यू कैन एनरोल द कोर्सेज। एंड फर्दर अगर आपको CIB की सिलेबस प्रायोरिटी चाहिए तो आपको सिंपली लिखना है CIB सिलेबस प्रायोरिटी, CIB सिलेबस प्रायोरिटी आपको लिखना है। एंड फर्दर आपको सिंपली इसे व्हाट्सएप कर देना है टू द नंबर 83609 44207 के ऊपर, and we will be sharing the details with you. Okay, so that would be all related to this particular unit.